Japan in the 16th century was a land torn apart by conflict, its once peaceful valleys echoing with the thunder of marching armies and the clash of steel. The countryside, once ruled by tradition and order, had become a battleground where the fate of the nation would be decided. This era was known as the Sengoku Jidai, the age of warring states, a time when chaos reigned and the old ways were swept aside by ambition and violence. The Ashikaga shogunate, once the unchallenged authority, had lost control over the land, its power crumbling as rival warlords rose up. In the vacuum left behind, powerful daimyo, regional lords, fought bitterly for supremacy, each determined to carve out their own domain. These lords, ruthless and ambitious, saw opportunity in the chaos, using every means at their disposal to gain an advantage. Warfare was constant, alliances were made and broken in the blink of an eye, and betrayal became a common tool in the struggle for power. In this era of upheaval, even a lowly peasant could rise to power through sheer skill, determination, and a bit of luck. Social status was no longer a barrier to greatness. The old rules and codes of honor were fading away. Now, only strength, cunning, and a healthy dose of mistrust could ensure survival. Every border became a front line, every treaty was little more than a temporary truce, and the map of Japan shifted constantly as territories changed hands. To protect their lands and ambitions, daimyo built massive castles as fortresses, and employed spies and assassins to outmaneuver and undermine their rivals. The ultimate goal was Tenkafubu, unify Japan by force, bringing all the warring clans under a single banner no matter the cost. Only the strongest, most cunning, and most adaptable could hope to survive and thrive in this brutal world. A single mistake, a moment of weakness, could destroy a clan forever, erasing generations of legacy in an instant. Yet, out of this crucible of war and ambition, two legendary figures would rise above the rest, their names forever etched into the history of Japan. One was a patient, calculating survivor, a master of strategy who knew when to wait and when to strike. The other, a brilliant and fearsome warrior, whose bold tactics and charisma inspired loyalty and fear in equal measure. Their names, Tokugawa Ieyasu and Takeda Shingen, would become symbols of the era, representing the relentless struggle for power that defined the Sengoku Jidai. Tokugawa Ieyasu, born Matsudera Takeichiyo, began life as a political hostage, learning patience and survival. His calm, cunning nature earned him the nickname Tanuki, a master of deception. Meanwhile, Takeda Shingen, daimyo of resource-poor Kai, built a reputation as a military genius. His cavalry was unmatched, and his ambition was boundless. He was the tiger of Kai. Ieyasu excelled at long-term strategy, waiting for the right moment. Shingen preferred overwhelming force and decisive battles. Both sought to unify Japan, but their methods were opposites. Ieyasu climbed slowly, surviving against the odds. Shingen conquered aggressively, driving toward Kyoto. Their rivalry would become legendary, a clash of patience versus fury. The stage was set for their inevitable collision. In the mid-16th century, the Imagawa clan, led by the ambitious and powerful Yoshimoto, stood as one of the most influential families in eastern Japan. Their banners flew proudly over vast territories, and their authority was respected and feared by neighboring clans. The Imagawa's stronghold was a symbol of stability in a land torn by constant warfare and shifting alliances. Among those under their control was a young samurai named Ieyasu, who, as a political hostage, was forced to serve in their army. Despite his youth, Ieyasu quickly proved himself as a capable general, learning the art of war and the delicate balance of loyalty and ambition. Everything changed in 1560 at the fateful Battle of Okahazama. In a daring and unexpected move, Oda Nobunaga launched a surprise attack during a thunderstorm, catching Yoshimoto and his forces off guard. Yoshimoto was killed on the muddy battlefield, and the once mighty Imagawa clan was thrown into chaos. With Yoshimoto's death, Ieyasu seized the opportunity to break free from his captors. He returned to his ancestral home, reclaimed his family's lands, and declared himself an independent daimyo, ready to carve out his own destiny. Recognizing the winds of change, Ieyasu formed a crucial alliance with Oda Nobunaga. This partnership would not only secure his position, but also set the stage for the unification of Japan. Meanwhile, Takeda Shingen, the formidable warlord of Kai, saw the Imagawa's collapse as a chance to expand his own influence. He mobilized his armies, eager to claim the spoils of the fallen clan. Ieyasu and Shingen, both shrewd and pragmatic, agreed to a temporary alliance. Together, they divided the Imagawa lands. Shingen took control of Suruga province, while Ieyasu secured Totomi and the strategic Hamamatsu Castle. Hamamatsu Castle became Ieyasu's new stronghold, a symbol of his rising power and independence in the turbulent Sengoku era. Yet, beneath the surface, their cooperation was driven by self-interest. Both men knew that their alliance was fragile, and that sooner or later, their ambitions would collide. With the Imagawa erased from the map, the buffer that had kept Ieyasu and Shingen apart was gone. The political landscape of central Japan shifted dramatically, leaving a power vacuum and new opportunities for conquest. Now, their domains bordered each other directly. Tensions rose as both leaders fortified their borders and watched each other with suspicion, knowing that the next conflict was inevitable. The alliance, once useful, had outlived its purpose. The time for cooperation was over. Rivalry and the struggle for supremacy would define their relationship from this point forward. Both Ieyasu and Shingen began preparing for the next stage of their struggle, gathering troops, forging weapons, and planning strategies for the battles to come. The destruction of the Imagawa not only marked the end of an era, but also set the stage for a direct confrontation between two of Japan's greatest warlords. The patient, Tanuki, Tokugawa Ieyasu, and the fierce tiger, Takeda Shingen, now stood face to face, each determined to shape the future of Japan in their own image. The fragile peace between Ieyasu and Shingen, once built on mutual respect and shared interests, quickly unraveled after the Imagawa lands were divided. What began as a partnership of necessity soon gave way to suspicion and ambition as both leaders eyed the shifting balance of power in the region. Shingen's ambition could not be contained. His eyes were fixed on Kyoto, the seat of imperial power, but standing between him and his dream was Ieyasu, now a formidable rival rather than a trusted ally. In a bold move, Shingen broke his alliance with Nobunaga, and by extension, severed ties with Ieyasu. The bonds of friendship were replaced by the cold reality of political maneuvering. Seeking to strengthen his position, Shingen allied himself with Nobunaga's enemies, sending a clear message that open war was inevitable. Ieyasu now faced a dire threat. Shingen's legendary army, renowned for its discipline and ferocity, was far superior in both numbers and reputation. With enemies closing in from all sides, Ieyasu had little choice but to rely on his alliance with Nobunaga for survival. Every decision became a matter of life and death. He poured resources into fortifying his castles, training his men relentlessly, and buying precious time through careful diplomacy and strategic negotiations. Shingen, meanwhile, unleashed his cavalry in a series of brutal raids, attacking villages, burning rice fields, and striking at border outposts. Each raid tested Ieyasu's defenses and the morale of his people. These attacks were not random acts of violence. They were calculated maneuvers, designed to provoke Ieyasu and lure him into a decisive, perhaps fatal confrontation. But Ieyasu, ever cautious, refused to be baited. He held his ground, relying on strong defenses and the patience that had become his trademark. Shingen, growing increasingly impatient with the stalemate, began preparing his forces for a full-scale invasion, determined to crush Ieyasu once and for all. The fragile cooperation that once held these powerful men together was shattered. Now, only bitter rivalry and the looming specter of war remained. The border between their domains became a powder keg, with armed patrols and tense standoffs threatening to erupt into violence at any moment. As massive armies assembled and the sun rose over the Sengoku battlefield, the stage was set for a legendary clash, one that would not only decide the fate of these two men, but also shape the future of Japan itself. In winter 1572, Shingen launched his main campaign, aiming to destroy Ieyasu and reach Kyoto. With 25,000 elite warriors, he swept through Tokugawa territory, capturing castles with ease. Ieyasu, outnumbered and desperate, had only 8,000 men and scant Oda reinforcements. His advisors urged him to stay behind Hamamatsu's walls, but Ieyasu feared appearing weak. Against all advice, he led his army out to attack Shingen's rear guard at Mikatagahara. It was a fatal miscalculation. Shingen anticipated the move. The Takeda army was ready, arrayed in full battle formation. Ieyasu's force was trapped, outnumbered 3-1. The sun set on a cold winter day as the two armies faced off. The battle would become one of the most lopsided of the era. Ieyasu's gamble would test his leadership and his luck. The fate of the Tokugawa hung in the balance. The Battle of Mikatagahara was a disaster for Ieyasu. Shingen's cavalry shattered the Tokugawa lines. The army broke and fled. Ieyasu barely escaped, saved by the sacrifice of loyal vassals. Humiliated and nearly destroyed, he returned to Hamamatsu Castle. Facing imminent siege, Ieyasu made a bold move. He ordered the castle gates thrown open, torches lit, and war drums sounded. This empty castle strategy was a psychological bluff, suggesting a trap. The Takeda vanguard hesitated, unnerved by the spectacle. Shingen, cautious despite his victory, chose not to attack that night. The bluff worked. Shingen's army camped instead of storming the castle. Ieyasu gained a crucial night to regroup and recover. His survival was a testament to nerve and cunning. The empty castle gambit became legendary in Sengoku lore. After Mikitagahara, Shingen seemed unstoppable, advancing toward Kyoto. But during the siege of Noda Castle, he suddenly fell ill, some say from a bullet, others from disease. His condition worsened rapidly, halting the Takeda campaign. Shingen ordered his death kept secret, fearing chaos and enemy attacks. In May 1573, the Tiger of Kai died, never reaching the capital. News of his death eventually spread, changing the balance of power. For Ieyasu, it was a miracle. His greatest rival was gone. The Takeda, now led by Shingen's less capable son, retreated. Ieyasu seized the chance to rebuild and recover. The death of Shingen reshaped the future of Japan. Shingen's death marked a turning point in the Sengoku Jidai. His son Katsuyori lacked his father's brilliance, and the Takeda declined. Ieyasu, now cautious and methodical, allied with Nobunaga to strike back. At Nagashino in 1575, Nobunaga's arquebusiers decimated the Takeda cavalry. The Takeda never recovered from this defeat. The Sengoku era was defined by ambition, betrayal, and luck. Ieyasu's survival at Mikitagahara and Shingen's death proved his resilience. Outlasting all rivals, Ieyasu became shogun after the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600. He established the Tokugawa shogunate, ushering in 250 years of peace. His journey from near destruction to unification was forged by patience and cunning. In the end, Ieyasu achieved what all others dreamed of, a unified Japan.